This week, the pro-life movement suffered a devastating blow in Ohio, which has historically been a pro-life stronghold. A decisive majority of voters, 56.6%, voted to amend the state's constitution to include pro-abortion language. The language that will be added to the Constitution reads in part, every individual has a right to make and carry out one's own reproductive decisions, including, but not limited to, decisions on abortion. The new language ensures that there will be legal challenges to Ohio's plethora of pro-life laws. Plus, many have raised a red flag about how the amendment could put minors in severe danger in other ways due to its broad terms. Tragically, President Biden and Vice President Harris claimed this as an important victory. We're joined now by a Catholic Ohioan, Brian Hickey, Executive Director of the Catholic Conference of Ohio. Brian, thank you for being here. Your initial reaction to the passage of Issue 1 in your state?
Well, it's a day of sorrow in Ohio. Certainly, we're extremely disappointed that all the work that we put in as the Catholic Conference and all of our dioceses and the numerous Catholic faithful across the state to inform our fellow parishioners and Ohioans generally about this dangerous amendment. It just wasn't enough. But certainly our sorrow is for the true victims of this amendment, the Ohio children who will not have a chance at life, the Ohio women who will be deceived into thinking that abortion is their best option, and just generally the severe obstacles this amendment will be to building a culture of life here in Ohio.
And Brian, how are fellow Catholics like yourself taking this? Can you make sense of how such an extreme amendment could receive broad approval in a state that's been strongly pro-life for decades?
Sure. Certainly over the last few weeks, we've been concerned and disappointed at the number of ads that we see on television, on digital media, one after the other, from the sides who passed this amendment, and they were certainly effective at it, calling our heartbeat law extreme, highlighting the lack of exclusions for rape and incest in our heartbeat law, and just a general message of keeping government out of Ohioans' healthcare decisions. So certainly we were concerned about this, but I'm just proud of all the Ohioans, especially in our Catholic churches, who put the time and effort in to inform their fellow Ohioans of the church's teaching on life.
Right. And would you delineate some of the pro-life laws that are now in jeopardy in your state? I know most of us are concerned about the Heartbeat Act, which bans most abortions that you just mentioned, and that's already being litigated in the courts. So what's the state of your pro-life laws going to look like?
That's correct. So we were hoping, expecting a positive decision from our Ohio Supreme Court to put the heartbeat law back into effect, but obviously it won't be anymore with this constitutional amendment passing, as well as the numerous other pro-life laws that were put into effect throughout the last several years in Ohio, whether that be informed consent, 24-hour waiting period for a woman seeking an abortion, a bill preventing abortion for children who are diagnosed with Down syndrome. So we're obviously very concerned and honestly not hopeful that those bills will stay in effect.
And Brian, one woman who campaigned in favor of Issue 1 said on election night, quote, "The future is bright." Another said that it was the best day of her life as she celebrated abortion being installed in Ohio as a so-called right. What do you make of these celebrations of such a deadly measure, and how do we as pro-life Catholics move forward when many in the state seem quite happy about all of this?
Sure. It's hard to really have a response to that. Certainly, we are going to take responsibility for ourselves as the Catholic Church to really reflect and regroup and think about how we can influence the next generation of young people so that we do not have those types of statements and the, in good faith, lack of understanding of what abortion does to a preborn child. But we're certainly going to reflect and regroup and really lean into our Catholic social teaching and how that can reach the next generation, so that in 10, 15, 20 years, we won't be in the same position that we are today in Ohio.
Well, Brian Hickey of the Catholic Conference of Ohio, thank you for joining us and for all the work that you've done leading up to today. We greatly appreciate your work. God bless you.
Thank you, Prudence.